28th. Getting near the end of the month, this Memorial Day weekend. Doing a lot of things. I'll tell you a little about what I'm doing this weekend a little more in a minute. But we have a special guest on this sort of colder spring day, but been very active in the community. I'm going to, I got to get my, there we You know, I do everything, folks. I'm the control engineer and everything. We're going to bring up Executive Director of the Aurora Interfaith Food Pantry today, folks. That's what our topic is. We're going to bring up Shannon Cameron. So Shannon Cameron is coming up. Shannon.
Good evening.
There she is. All right.
Thanks so much for coming on, John.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you, Shannon. And I'm going to take this little logo. It's a nice little logo. I was telling Shannon earlier that my parents were involved in the early growth of that, and various stories there that how that I remember a story that back then the pantries, it was more of a new adventure, I think, in the area. I don't think stores were involved as much, and it was just very infant that they went out and they tried to get food even from the federal government that had sitting around in deep caves, which was a storage that kept stuff cold. They had cheese. I remember that was a big thing to get the cheese out of there. Everybody was getting on the government. Why are you having all this cheese sitting around doing nothing, waiting for some disaster that's never going to happen? It's now we need it. And the other thing was dried milk. I remember that was a big thing too. Dried milk. Government had a lot of dried milk, so we had to get that. And I remember my mom and others in the area and working on a group called Bread for the World. I remember they called up the Archdiocese of Rockford to put a little more pressure on the government, and it finally worked. They did get the stuff, and I remember my dad later did a lot of stuff with Aldi and Aldi's and some bakeries to pick up foods at that time. But it's still like that, but it's a little more robust, I think, or a little more, right, Shannon?
Yeah. I mean, it was really a grassroots effort, our history. We started in 1981. So this is our 40th birthday year. Coming up in July is our 40th anniversary of being a nonprofit organization. And it started just really with churches seeing a lot of need in the community during a recession, and then coming together so they could serve more people, because, alone it was pretty overwhelming, but together, that's why we have the interfaith in our title. It was several churches in the area came together to have more ability to serve the community. And so I'm really proud of that grassroots beginning. And honor that the just people that were looking out for their neighbors truly, and with any means they could. I mean, these are just people that wanted to help and tried to figure out a way. We have a lot more now, luckily, things in place to get food, to partner with food rescue programs. But back then they were just trying to get whatever they could to help out people.
Yeah, you were there. Well, I don't know if that was right in the early stage, but at least before your new Jericho Road, you were over with the Hesed House area there for a while too, right?
Yes. We're at Hesed House in a pretty small space at Hesed House.
Yeah, I remember it was pretty small. Yeah.
Yeah, in 2013, we moved to our current location on Jericho Road. And that at the time we were getting something that I think was, 6 times as big. So we had a lot more ability. And I think at the time when that happened, it was like, we'll never use all this space. And now to the brim, and we're always every inch of it.
Yeah, you're using it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I want to ask you. Well, let's talk what happened today, though. Shannon and the city of Aurora and veterans. I forgot all the people involved, but you had a veterans outreach today at your pantry. And why don't you tell us a little about what happened today with this Veterans Outreach?
Yeah. So in the past, we've done a pantry around Veterans Day for our veterans. That's really been sponsored by Fox Valley Marine Corps and some other local organizations. And this year, this is our first annual Memorial Day Veterans Pantry. So it was really in gratitude of current servicemen, of veterans, and Gold Star families, of course, service members that have lost their lives and their families. Um, so this is our first one doing it. We received a grant from the Bob Woodruff Foundation via Illinois Joining Forces. And Illinois Joining Forces is a really incredible statewide organization that does their best to connect veterans to services of all kinds. And so, and one of those might be a food pantry like us. And so, so we were able to really purchase some wonderful things to as an act of gratitude today. And we had Mayor Irvin, Mayor of Aurora speak, Laura Underwood, she represents the 14th District in the House of Representatives. We had somebody from Barbara Hernandez's office come speak. And you know, the mayor, of course, is a veteran himself, so this is near and dear to his heart, and had a lovely kind of moment where we just talk about how it is a vulnerable population. And I believe, you know, no one in our community needs to be hungry. We have a surplus of food, and we just need to take care of each other. And that's what the pantry does. We try to take care of our neighbors in that way. And we're just thankful that we can reach out in specific ways to groups that might need our help. And today was one of those days. It was a really wonderful day of service.
Well, that sounds good. How many did come out? It was like 10 till noon, my understanding. How many came out, would you say about? You got an idea there?
Yeah, so we had about 60 cars. Usually we look at anywhere from, and we average 2 to 4 individuals per family that we're feeding with that. You know, there's lots, we found amongst the veterans community, you know, people say, well, they're too prideful to ask for
Oh, okay.
things.
Yeah, that's a.
I think it's not pride as much as I found that there's veterans feel like, oh, well, I'm sure there's people that are worse off than I am, and I don't want to take.
Okay, well, that's nice attitude, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't want to take something from someone else who needs it more. And really, what we want everyone to know is there is enough. And if you are in need, you know, come take advantage of our services. And then whatever money you would use to go towards food, use that for something else that you need or your family needs. And let us help you, you know, get over a rough patch. Or if you need us every week, we're here for you. And it's just a way because most of the people that came today have never used our services in the past.
Okay.
So we're really hopeful that they'll come and be regular people at our distributions.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And about food insecurity and how going to the pantry when your money's tight, it saves that money that can be used for that rent or paying the gas or whatever, gasoline or whatever it is that you other necessities. But it's one that's you're helping numerous people. Right now, Shannon, what's how many families are seeing you weekly about would you say, or families, or however what you number it? How many are coming by each week? Would you say about?
Right now, we're looking around 600 families a week.
Families?
Yes, no, 600. I would say yes, 600 families. So that could be
Okay.
more individuals than that we're serving. But
Yeah.
then, and that's down for our, you know, we were seeing around 900 families. And then even before that, 1,500 families we were serving due to the height of COVID a week.
Okay.
But our numbers are down a bit because there are federal programs in place right now, including, of course, people got tax returns, but the SNAP program, which is, you know, people think of that as, food stamps, if you could call it that back in the day. But SNAP benefits are up. The federal government increased those due to COVID. Of course, unemployment is increased, those benefits. And there's something that all school-age children are getting called the pandemic EBT cards, which have about $400 per child loaded that they get every other month or so. And they have extended those services throughout the summer. So we know that there's temporary assistance, and our numbers are a bit down because of that. But we know in September, we're going to see a huge increase. And of course, everyone is seeing the increase in prices, especially on food right now. And so we know that the need is going to be really intense come this fall.
So I assume that's more numbers than were in 2019, probably, right?
Yeah. I mean, we tend to average between 200 and 300 per distribution families.
Okay, but you have a couple distributions, right?
Yeah.
A week?
We had 2 a week. This week we had 3 because of the Veterans Pantry. But yeah, so that was prior to COVID. And then COVID, our numbers, of course, skyrocketed.
So that's 100% increase at least.
We had
400 to 600. I mean, no, that's 50. Yeah, 50%. I got my math wrong there.
Okay.
But that's a good increase right there. Even I mean, it did increase, and I'm sure the other pantries and the food bank, it's the same story.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we have monthly meetings with our agency partners and other food pantries in the area, and they see similar trends we do, of course. I mean, the need was really great. And although those numbers are going down, I mean, the federal government is taking care of people more right now, but we know that that's temporary. And so we're going to need to be there for people in a big way come this fall.
I think sometimes what we're talking about is called food insecurity. And so that's what you're trying to meet, the food insecurity of families. And what area do you serve? That's because we call it area. What's that area, I guess?
So truly, if you come to the pantry and say that you need food, we're going to give you food. So
okay.
We don't turn anyone away.
Okay.
We request an ID with an Illinois address. But if you don't have that, you can bring a piece of mail or some other kind of that identifies that you live in Illinois. But again, if you don't have that, we're not going to turn you away. We're going to give you paperwork and say, hey, can you fill this out for next time and bring something with your address on it? The idea of us serving our community and turning someone away that's hungry is so against our mission, right? But we tend to see people, of course, the majority of the people that we serve are from the Aurora area, but we see it all up and down and around the Fox Valley River area. We see Oswego, Montgomery, Batavia, St. Charles. We see all Naperville,
Okay.
a pretty wide area. Of course, all the counties in Aurora, Kendall County, Kane, we have DeKalb, we have DuPage. So we have a pretty wide impact.
Yeah. Well, the pantry's called Aurora area, so I just had to ask that. I know you've had a few what we call pop-ups or mobiles at some places even are not in Aurora per se.
Correct. Yeah. That's a new initiative that started since COVID, where we have pantries that are pop-up pantries that are specifically aimed towards families with children, and really outreach so people know about us that might not already be coming to the pantry. And we partner with park districts and school districts to let people know in the area that we're there. And yes, we've gone to all sorts of places. Some of the future ones we're working on right now, we've heard there's quite a great need in the West Chicago area. So we're working on some pop-ups in that area, which is
really,
which still that we.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
How did that happen? I'm supposed to have my phone off. I'm supposed to know these things. Sorry. Go on, Shannon. It'll stop here and I'll change it.
Sure.
Sorry about that. It says it's from Arkansas. Do I know anybody in Arkansas? No.
My husband's in Arkansas right now, but I don't think he's calling you.
I don't know. I usually turn it off. And I think I was waiting way earlier. I was waiting for Shannon to call because we were to make sure that everything was working out. Never got to turn that guy off. Now on my mind, I got to get back. We got off of Arkansas. But yeah, I mean, you're thinking about West Chicago. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, I'm in between here. I'm in between Batavia. I'm in between West Chicago and Aurora here in Batavia.
Yeah.
So I know you're doing that's interesting, and like you said, you do work with the others, so pantries. So we try not to really overlap as much as possible, right? Or duplicate services, I would assume. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm only 2 months in as the executive director. I started in late March, so literally 2 months on the job.
Right. We're getting you early here. So yeah.
Yeah. So we hope to collaborate more and more and make sure, yes, we're not duplicating efforts, but in a way joining forces together to serve. We
Right.
have the same missions, and I'm really grateful that other pantries do exist and can serve different needs.
Right.
We can do some things really well, and they can do some things really well, and I think
Right.
we're helping our community and making a bigger impact that way together. So, and Marie Wilkinson has done some amazing things for our community, and my hope is that we find ways to just work together and learn together about our community and help each other out as needed.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Aurora is a big community, so and the area is a big community, second largest city in the state, and so that's very beautiful on that front. And you also a lot of this is pulled together, I guess, because you work with the Northern Illinois Food Bank and on a lot of these projects, right? And you get a lot of your foods, and I think these mobiles mostly go that way, don't they? Too. Also.
Correct. Yeah. So our mobile pantries, Calvary Church of Naperville actually has a partnership with us. They closed their pantry right around when COVID began, and they decided to put the money towards what they were at their pantry in their church, just to help both Marie Wilkinson and our pantry. And so they bought a refrigerated truck.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Calvary Church does underwrites the cost of the food that we purchase for the pop-up
I
pantries. So
know there's money involved in that, of course.
yeah, so they've really made that a reality for us, and our next focus is going to be pop-ups for senior citizens.
Okay.
That's because in some ways seniors were left out during COVID because for fear of course people getting sick, and they weren't coming to the pantry. They may not have had regular transportation, so
Right, that could be a problem, right? Or somebody have to get the food for them, or you're right, or
yeah,
they
and
might be scared too, right?
exactly. And we would do some deliveries to senior housing facilities, and they didn't want us to do that just for fear of bringing in the virus. So now we have called the Pantry to Go program, in which people can request food and that we deliver it to their.
Hmm. Oh,
Um,
nice, nice. I think if I'm not, maybe we'll have to look into this research more, Shannon. But I think the virus on foods and stuff is probably over exaggerated. I mean, basically, the virus comes from nasal and coughs and spray that way of droplets. I don't think I forgot the number. It's really low. It's low from food would be pretty low. I mean, really
it,
low.
it was really found to be so minimal, and that was not a risk, because at the beginning we're like bleaching all of our groceries from the grocery store, bleach
Well,
wipes.
I didn't bleach it now. Come on. I didn't bleach, but no, I hear what you're saying. I was watching it a little more, right?
So I think, but yes, the surfaces, the CDC says, it's very unlikely. It's that 15 minutes or more in close contact through the water particles, So, but, we didn't know that much then. We've learned a
No, I
lot.
know. That's understandable. That's right. That's correct.
And of
And
course,
like, I didn't use bleach though, but I did wash. I did try to wipe down some things. I remember doing that, and then I go. Then I remember reading about that and go, "This isn't happening this way. It happens, when somebody's right beside you and
yeah.
coughs on you or something like that, more or less." Um, let me see. Oh, this leads me to the we're getting there. I guess we're moving on. I want to know how we're going to do in the future now. We just got through with that food part there and the COVID-19. So I wondered how you're going to do. Are you going to, how long, when, is there going to be an inside moment there at your pantry, or is that started yet? I should have asked you before this, but I should have done a little pre-investigation there, but is that started yet about coming inside?
We currently are not doing that, but we are planning on making sure that we're open what we call our client choice market, where it's more like a grocery store where they can pick and choose what they want. Currently, right now, they get about 88 pounds of food on average.
Okay.
Pickup food, and some of those things, they may not eat due to religious or observances, or they may be diabetic or whatever it might be. So it'll be really nice for them to be able to choose things that are culturally appropriate, that they need for their diet, whatever it might be. And we just miss seeing our neighbors in the pantry, and those relationships that have developed over the years between our volunteers and our neighbors that come in. So we're really excited about that. We've got a few things that we have to do. We did receive a grant to replace all our shelving in our market. So
Okay.
right now getting all the bids on that and putting that together so we can get new shelving. So we're hoping to open in September and be just the client choice pantry and have people inside again. It just takes, there's sort of, as many people have experienced, shipping delays, steel delays, all of that right now. So we're just giving ourselves as much. We're saying September. It could be earlier if we get everything in. Oops, there's my dog. Sorry about that.
That's right. She mentioned that she has a dog that's going to come on the scene here real soon, folks. No, no. But and my mind got distracted. Now it's off the dog. I got to get my mind back here and what I was thinking about here. So, okay, the fall, you're going to go back. Yeah. So does going inside reduce the number somewhat, or you're going to have longer hours, and it's probably going to have longer hours because I would think that would take a little longer than just throwing a box in the car. But you have to box it up, so that's work too. So I'm not saying, but it seems like your hours are going to have to be longer. I mean, for the pantry itself. I mean, the distribution side.
Yeah.
Oh,
So in fact, before we did 3 distributions a week, before COVID and before the drive-through. So we'll probably go back to that model. Right now, we're working with a steering committee of staff and volunteers and other.
right. It's going to take a while to pull us together again.
Yeah.
It's a new venture. Actually, it's back to you have experience, but it is it's yes,
Well,
it's a
and we
new. Uh-huh.
plan for lots of things. So, we might phase things in a certain way. If for some reason COVID numbers spike again and we have to go back to certain things, what does that look like? It's just, we want to just be as prepared as possible.
Okay, we don't want that. That's why I'm pushing
We got,
vaccinations. I'm a
yeah,
vaccination pusher.
yeah,
Uh, and
exactly.
mhm.
We work with a very vulnerable population, and a population that may have not been able to take advantage of vaccines. But also myself, I was vaccinated in April, and if we're looking at September, October, that's 6 months, and we don't know yet. Like they say, around 6 months. So
About how long they last?
yeah, so we
Yeah,
just
we
want,
don't know that.
yeah, cognizant of that, and realize that we still don't know everything yet, but we just want to be prepared. We very
Yeah.
much that the virus stays away from our community.
Right. Well, I'm working with the VNA on some program. I can explain that a little more later here, but I don't want to. What was I going to say? Oh, let's get on to what you're thinking about briefly here before we wrap this time up. It's man, we're getting in the weeds here. No, we're not getting in the weeds. Sorry about that, folks. No, we're not getting in the weeds. Now, what are some future plans here as we sort of pull ourselves together and wrap up here? What are some of the things you're thinking for down the road? I know you just mentioned about September coming around and more in-house type of things. What other things? I know Shannon was at Kiwanis, and you mentioned some other, I think, more of education and other outreach type of programs. Maybe I'd characterize those wrong, but give me a little more on some of that thinking.
Sure.
Well,
So
the future, what were you thinking there? Yeah.
we're hoping next fall to partner with West Aurora Public Schools to provide a backpack program. Marie Wilkinson works with the Northern Illinois Food Bank to do that for East Aurora Public Schools right now. And we want to make sure that West Aurora Public Schools is served in that way. We have about a 47% a free lunch that 47% of kids in West Aurora Public Schools qualify for free lunch, not just free and reduced, but free. And if they're getting a lot of their sustenance with breakfast and lunch through the school system, we're concerned about that 68 hours every weekend that they are not getting meals. So on Friday, we want to send them home with nourishing meals for their family and themselves and any siblings they might have, to make sure that they are well fed and nourished between school. Because we know if that is not happening, you're much more likely to do poorly in school and not be able to get develop and learn at the rate that kids should. So it's really important that they have, of course, nourishing food. We're also we have a garden program currently over at the Pantry, and we are looking at that as kind of an educational site where we can teach people how to do the community gardening. And then we are excited about the possibility of introducing gardens to low-income housing developments around the city, and that they take ownership of, that they organize. We help provide just the stuff to make it happen, but they come together as a community to tend to the garden, to teach their kids about where food comes from, and they have healthy, wonderful produce, that they've grown and can take a lot of pride in. So that's something we're hoping to do. Continue to work with pop-ups and other maybe satellite locations. And I think the biggest thing is I want to collaborate. We have amazing nonprofits that are doing such great things in our community. And I want to invite them to the Pantry to make sure we're connecting our neighbors with their services. So when they come to get food, they can also learn about Mutual Ground Services or the Neighbor Project or any of those other great nonprofits here. So that's of interest as well. But right now, we've got some big needs. Like we need to replace the roof, so we're raising money for that and other things too.
Right. Well, you got to do one thing at a time here, and I know how that is. I've got some needs myself. I know I got to go. Sure,
Yep.
you got to go in a certain order, and I assume when the pandemic, let's just say, gets in a better shape, and you're going back to more of your past routines. And then some of these things can develop for you, I'm sure. And you want to, well, you're going to try anyway. I mean, but still, the situation right now is still in flux, what you would say. And we got to but we're hanging in there where you're doing these pop-ups and other things like that. It's great. Shannon, what you're doing. And I just appreciate you having this time. Anything else you want to add, Shannon? And can sort of think on how we can wrap this little segment up. Is that about what we say?
Yeah, I just real quickly, I think you know, we need the community support, and the community has been so supportive for us. You know, although we're not wearing masks as much, being able to go to more group events because so many of us are vaccinated, we're going to see long lasting ramifications from the pandemic. So I just ask that you keep our neighbors in mind, and we will still need the community support to be able to meet 100% of the need that is in our community. We fed 286,000 individuals just in the past 12 months. That's not all of COVID, right? And so we'll
Wow.
still community to show up for us in big ways so we can meet that need. We never want to turn anyone away. And we've been so grateful that we haven't had to do that. But just know that even though the pandemic effects might be over for you, it's not over for a lot of the people in the community, and we need to continue to take care of our neighbors.
That's a very good point. And Shannon, I forgot to put up the website. Those who want to give some support, I think, what's it, Aurora Pantry?
Aurora Food Pantry.
AuroraFoodPantry.org, right?
Yeah, you can go there. We're raising money for the roof and for a new truck, and so we could. Our truck has got about 240,000 miles on it.
Okay. So that's
so
Aurora Food Pantry. Just that's all together.org.
yep.
And I should have put that up here, but it is pretty easy to remember too.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to, Shannon, I'm just going to talk one more moment on some other things, and then we'll wrap it up. Tomorrow I'm going to be walking. So if anybody wants to give a little help to JR and his walk for the Jesse Torres Law Boxing Club, and I'm also a good part of that. It's the Rock Steady program that helps out with Parkinson's, and that's what I love. We've had the club has that, and that's a great thing. So here's that, the Jesse Torres Law, Jesse the Law Boxing.com. So that's another longer one, Jesse the Law Boxing.com. So anyway, Shannon, I just want to again thank you. We're going to come back on Monday, Lord willing, on that Memorial Day. We'll hopefully have a guest. Otherwise, this is going to be a repeat. We're going to put Shannon back up again. I think that might be the solution here too for Monday. We call that encore.
Yeah.
And well, I just want to thank Shannon for coming by today. And am I missing anything? Okay, look at the bottom of the screen for the COVID vaccinations at the VNA, and I'm encouraging that. I got my double dose, and I want everybody to get out there and get their doses, and so we can get that 70% number. That would really help everything to be in good shape. So I want to thank Shannon Cameron for being with us. Shannon, it was a blessing, and we'll keep praying and hoping and doing our best for this Aurora Interfaith Food Pantry. It's a blessing that the community has. Then has people like you in leadership, and we really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for having me on, and I just want to wish everybody a nice Memorial Day weekend, and appreciate your support.
That's a good point. I forgot to say that. Thank you for reminding me.
No
That was on my mind, but Memorial Day weekend is right upon us. That is very sure. It's true. And we remember those veterans and others who paid us sacrifice for our country. And so I just want to say right now, God bless all you out there. We'll see you Monday, Lord willing. And bye-bye, and have a great Memorial Day weekend. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.